2, a 3. Lean on me
when you're not strong,
and
I'll be your friend sometimes.
I'll help you carry on. For it won't be long till I'm gonna need somebody to lean on. I just call.
We all need somebody to lean on.
Channel our like inner preacher.
We trying to shake the nerves out. No, ooh,
Mask with laughter.
No, literally. This whole episode we're going to be masking our pain with laughter.
What an intro.
This is unhealthy.
Oh.
Masking our pain with laughter.
The pressure is getting worse. Okay, we are back with another episode.
Yeah.
Life is weird. I'm Gabby.
I'm Sage.
I'm Queso.
Big Kels in this thing.
And we are back with another episode of Life is Weird podcast.
Episode 9.
Episode 9, which
God.
means we're almost at almost at episode 10, which means we're almost done with season 2.
Oh my God.
Ooh la la. Yeah, it's been a long time coming, but we're here now. So this episode is going to be a heavy topic. So just a trigger warning that this will be a sensitive conversation. We're going to be talking about grief. Grief is weird. It is
It's
indeed.
So weird. Oh my God.
Indeed.
Tragic.
But, it is part of life. So we did want to touch on it because we felt like it was very important to not exclude this topic since we have all experienced grief in some sort of way.
Mm-hmm.
So we always start our episodes with our weird acronym. And, oh my gosh, it's not
This is why
funny.
it's funny.
But our weird acronym for today is worldly extinction is really devastating.
Yikes.
Who gave you that? ChatGPT? Yeah. Or
you came up with that.
You came up with that?
No.
I actually came up with it. I did.
Gabby the guru.
No, Gabby
Worldly
the
extinction.
It's really devastating. It started out as a joke, like Kelsey and I were laughing at it, and then I said, actually,
Wait, but
I'm like, no, but seriously,
can't think of anything else.
it is true though. It is devastating for real.
And it's inevitable. Worldly
Yeah.
extinction is inevitable.
It's really
For sure.
devastating,
For
but
Spirit lives on.
we will keep. Oh my gosh, we are like using so many fillers and everything just to get out all the
delay,
jitters.
please.
But we're gonna get into it for real. And then our shameless plug today, somebody who speaks about things who are way more positive than this topic. Yeah. It's our former teammate Felicia. Hey girl, hey.
Big fiance.
She has a page called Humanity Speaks on Instagram. It's humanityspeaks_. And she goes around interviewing people, asking them positive things, asking them their thoughts, their input. And it's a really good way to spread positivity, especially in the community and the world that we're living in now. So follow Felicia, humanityspeaks_ on Instagram, and check out some of her content.
Check her out. Hey, girl.
It's great. Big
So, again, just a trigger warning that this will be a sensitive conversation. And, I'm going to just ask God to give us the strength to get through this conversation for sure because it is kind of heavy. So we're just going to tap right in. So the first question. Ooh. The tissues are on hand. Have you experienced a loss that affected you significantly?
Yes. I think it's crazy because, before you lose someone that's really close to you, I feel like we've experienced loss with long family members or second cousins that don't really of course it hurts, but if you didn't really grow up with them or you didn't really get to experience them on the daily basis, it hits differently. It's still sad, but it hits differently and it doesn't hit as close to home. But then when you experience the loss of an immediate family member or just someone that you didn't picture your life without, right? Because and we're gonna touch on how loss isn't just something of like losing a physical person, but like just someone that like you are used to experiencing every day or on a daily basis, and then just not having them in your life no more, whether they're alive or not. It's different, but
Yeah.
I definitely experienced a loss that affected me significantly. Recently, I lost my like high school best friend, so like that was like the first death that like really hit me. Like I said, I've lost cousins. I actually lost a cousin like on my birthday, my 21st birthday. That was hard. So I feel like those two are like the deaths that like have really impacted me significantly.
Yeah. No, for sure. I definitely experienced loss that affected me significantly. Most definitely. More specifically, my childhood best friend, who I, grew up with for a very long time, I lost in 2021. I'm sure we'll tap more into that and go more in depth later. And then also, I have older half siblings, and their mom passed away. So that was something that was really different to experience as well. But yeah.
Were you around your older half siblings when they were going through that?
No. And that was definitely a thing where I feel like, damn, like, yikes. Because, obviously I'm with my dad, and he's out here, and they're out in the UK. That's where their mom was. And, they have a stepdad. Their mom was married. But it was very strange because it happened in peak of COVID, and it's like we already kind of are working on our relationship and like staying in contact regularly without having to go through our parents or go through our dad. So it's been still got to really do better with checking in on them for real. But that was interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. What is it? May. I lost my grandfather in December. I've actually lost pretty much all of my grandparents minus one. And then I had a period of time where like I kept losing friends, like kind of back to back. So that kind of took a toll on me, and I think it was more of the time frame in which I lost them. It was just really close together. I had two friends who died a day apart, completely different incidents. And then the following year, I lost another friend, and we found out on Twitter, which was it sucked. But again, like Sage said, we'll dive deeper into that.
Yeah.
And for the people watching, I'm not crying yet. I have hair in my eye. I have been trying to get it out since Gabby started speaking.
And then for me, oh Jesus, be offense. So one of my childhood friends, her mom had passed away. It felt very sudden, like it definitely threw me off. And then as I was pulling up to pay my respects to my friend and everything, one of our cousins passed away, literally like 3 days after. And then from the time that y'all will see this of us shooting, I lost my grandfather about a week and a half ago. So yeah, that is very fresh and new. So that is pretty significant right now.
Yeah.
Okay, so
We've all experienced significant loss.
that. And the losses that we were speaking of were physical losses. But when it comes to grief and grieving, what are your thoughts on grief and grieving? And do you guys think that grief only happens when you lose somebody physically, or does it occur if you no longer have a connection or relationship with someone in your life?
I think my general thoughts on grief and grieving is hard but necessary. I think there was a death that I took so long to grieve because I was so young when it happened that I didn't really understand what was going on. Like, I had two friends who passed away in middle school. They died in a house fire, like, literally that morning before we got to school. And it wasn't until like my early adulthood that I started processing it, because I had the newspaper from when they announced it, and my voice is getting shaky. Oh my God. I hate this. I hate this. This is ghetto. Um, but I think it's very necessary, because I held on onto them too for so long, because I just felt like it just wasn't fair. You know, they never got to go to high school. They didn't go to prom. They didn't go to college. They'll never get married. And I think those two specifically bothered me for literally a decade of my life. And so it's very, very necessary, because if you don't grieve it, you start to take it out on other people around you. You start to go to other methods. A lot of times those methods aren't the best method to go to. And no, I don't think that it only happens when you lose someone physically. I think you can lose like a friendship or a relationship, and you can grieve that. I think you have to grieve that, because if you don't grieve that part of your life or that person or people, then you're going to, again, take that out on other people around you. You're going to fall into other methods. But I think it's really important that we have, that we give ourselves that time to grieve, because if not, it's just going to be stuck, and it's just going to keep piling up, building up, because people die or people leave, or you leave people. And that's inevitable, like Queso said. So it's like, you got to grieve, because if not, when you finally explode, it's not going to be pretty.
Yeah.
It out.
Absolutely. No, yeah, you can definitely, like I said, and sometimes, like losing someone that's still alive, but you just don't get to experience them the same way that you did, that can be just as hard sometimes.
It's very heartbreaking.
And I think the fact that it's like, you're still on this earth, but I will never be able to get to experience you again the way that I once did. Like, that can be painful. So you can definitely grieve losing somebody, even if their physical presence is still here. But my overall thoughts on grieving, like, grief is weird. It's so weird. And it's crazy, because, like, my best friend that passed, she passed in September. And, like, literally just a month ago, I was on my way home from the gym. Like, I'm on a high. I'm driving down the road. There's no song that made me think of her. There was nothing that happened, but she just popped up in my head. And, like, the way that I just started crying, you would have thought she just passed yesterday. And I was like, I thought I was healed from this. I thought I was healed. I thought I was over it. I thought, like, I had worked through this. But it's so weird in that aspect where, like, it can hit you at the most randomest times. Like, something can make you think of them. And like I said, that time I was driving down the road, nothing made me, like, think of her. She just popped up in my head. And I like to think it was her. I like to think it was her, and just, like, her reminding me that she was okay. But, like, it's so weird. And, like, it's hard navigating it. But I think that's why it's important that we touch on it, because we want people to know, like, it is inevitable. It's something that we go through. But, just making sure that you have the support that you need when you're going through it is important. And like I said, I feel like it is definitely important to talk about. But it's weird as fuck.
I agree. I mean, in a nutshell, grief is definitely strange, but you definitely cannot cut corners with that thing, for sure. 'Cause, I mean, you're going to have to go through it if you experience a significant loss, because, it's a part of life. Like, people are going to come and go in whichever way, but you don't really get used to it from what I've experienced in a lot of situations. So I think maybe we'll get into it a little bit later, but I think me personally dealing with grief has been, I don't even know how to describe it for real. It's been a doozy.
It's been a journey.
It's been a journey for sure. It has its ups and downs, but I do think that, at least with grieving people who have passed away, you definitely gotta kind of reshift how you think about life itself to kind of go through it, because once it happens, it's like, okay, this shit is real, and it can happen again. It can happen whenever. So, like, it's not that you can really prepare yourself for death per se, but, like, I feel like for me, it's just because of how I dealt with death that I've experienced already. It's necessary for me to like kind of develop better habits for that I can like come back to and reference when it inevitably, unfortunately, will happen again.
Mm-hmm.
So
It's interesting. It's not
Yeah.
linear.
Yeah.
That makes sense. I would agree with everything that y'all have said, you know, so far, especially when it's not someone that you lose physically, but someone that you just no longer has access to you anymore, or you no longer have access to them. Like, you're not just grieving the person, like you're grieving like the plans that y'all had with each other, the experiences, the conversations, like the memories, and it's like
what could have been?
what could have been.
Yeah.
That's the tough part, because it's like, damn, bro, like you was supposed to be one of them ones,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
Whether
That
it's
part.
whether it's friends or relationships or anything, like when you just make plans for the future and then the future is like, no, like it's not,
Yeah.
this ain't that, like they can't be around, you know, for that. But I'll also even say, like, you can also grieve like your past life, if that makes sense. Like you can grieve like a stage that you were in life that felt good and you're no longer in anymore. So for me, I would say I find myself like grieving the fact that I'm not in school anymore, because that's all that I knew. Like that's all that I knew life-wise. I've been in school since I was young, all the way straight through grad school, and I miss, like, sometimes find myself missing like the structure or like
Classes.
the classes, the connections, like just having a oriented way to go about my day and my life. Sometimes I do find myself going through like the different, you know, stages of grief, and I'm kind of like trying to like deal with it, and I find myself like gripping at what's not even there anymore, trying to make sense of like, no, like you're in a whole different space. You're in a whole different stage now, and it's okay to like not be in that space anymore and still appreciate what was and what is and what's to come. Or just even thinking about times when I think of a fond memory of that I had with somebody or something, and I'm like, damn, bro, like I wish that I was back in that space. Or like, you know, if people say like if you could go back in time and like do anything over or whatever, like, and there's definitely moments where I'm like, I would kill like to go back in time, and just like one of the moments that I say I really would go back in time and do over, because I feel like I didn't appreciate it enough. My parents sent my brother and I to Barbados to be with my my grandpa. They sent us to Barbados for 2 weeks, and we were young. I was probably like 14 or so. My grandpa put us in sailing camp, and then we did like a catamaran boat around like the island and stuff, and just like we were just island living, you know, like we were just living it up. During the time there, we were so pissed. We were like, bro, he's making us go to bed at 8 p.m. There's no AC. It's hot. Like, there's no Wi-Fi. Like, we were pissed. And we had to wake up at like 6 a.m. to go to the beach and they called it a run and swim, where you had to like run. It's hard as fuck to run on the sand. I don't know if y'all have tried.
Yeah,
I have,
but
it is absolutely
we had to
horrible.
run like half a mile down the beach on the sand, and then swim out into the ocean, like swim out like halfway to wherever the little lifeguard was, and then swim back before we did like our sailing activities. But it's like, how many people can say like they learned how to sail like a boat, or like we did a submarine tour that was cool. Just being there, just being like with me. He's still like my other grandpa, like he still lives in Barbados, but I'm not like as close to him. And that's something that I think, like, since I did just lose a grandparent, that I'm like yearning for that connection, like with him. And then it's really just like I would kill to go back to that moment and just be present, because be more present and appreciative, because now it's like times are changing, my schedule's getting busier, I don't have the money like that flights are expensive to go over there, and it's really just one of those things where it's like sometimes I feel like I am grieving like past memories. Like, dang, I wish I could go back in time and really like relive that moment, you know? And I know we'll talk more about those, but
Yeah. I think I answered. Well, I didn't answer. Do I think grief only happens when you lose somebody physically? I definitely think that it does happen when you just lose a connection with someone. I don't think I have personally experienced that. Like, I think I have experienced, losing somebody that I'm, losing a connection with somebody in my life where I'm like, sad about it. But I feel like I kind of get over certain things like that kind of quickly.
like you never lost like, have you ever lost like a best friend or like were you ever in a relationship where like breaking up with that person really like took you down through there?
Well, kind of, sort of, but that was just, I feel like, because I was just young and like thought I was in love. I don't think I really grieved for. I mean, I guess I did kind of grieve to a certain extent, like a young ex where I was just like, damn, what the fuck happened? But like actually had like a process of really. Okay, maybe with like romantic things, but like with platonic relationships, I don't think I've experienced grieving someone who I'm no longer cool with. Not to like an extent where I'm acknowledging it as grief.
Yeah.
Which is interesting.
I think.
Well, I'm glad you haven't had to experience that.
Yeah, I can imagine it'd be a hard thing. But maybe it is just the comfort of knowing, like, they're okay, they're alive, they're well, to as far as I know. We're just not in each other's lives. I don't know.
You guys ever grieve, like, even, like, family relationships? Because Gabby just brought up a really good point about, like, grieving...
like past experiences, past memories.
Right, but then
past
also,
life.
like, just grieving the fact that, like,
Things
you
are
might never
different.
have the relationship that you want, right? So, like, say if you don't have a good relationship with your daddy. We keep bringing up daddies. But, like,
stop bringing up
I
daddies.
feel like a part of my healing journey was grieving the fact that I'm never going to have that daddy-daughter relationship with my father that I wanted. And I had to get over that. I was like, well, we here. What else I can't go back and change it.
So
but, like, that was something that I had to process. And I did go through the stages of grief, just grieving, like, the idea of what we could have been, right? Or, like, the fact that I'm never going to, the daddy-daughter dances, we ain't ever do that. Or, like, the fact that, like, he's just not in my life the way I would want him to be in my life, like, so
Right.
do you guys ever have any
think,
for sure,
follow-up question to that, do you think, like, if y'all were to come to, I guess, terms or to a good place, that you would be able to, I guess, move, like,
time,
not necessarily, I don't
No.
even like saying make up for lost time, right? Because realistically, we know that can't happen. Like, there's really no such thing as making up for lost time, because like you said, those and those pivotal moments and stuff that you were anticipating someone to be there, it wasn't that, and you're in a whole different transition in space now. But do you think you would be open to, I guess, like, reframing what this new relationship with y'all would potentially look like, even though it's not the ideal one that you envisioned? But if you could, if y'all did get to a point and you reframe, like, what it could be, do you think you would be, like, open to that?
Yeah, no, for sure. I do feel like our relationship now is getting a lot better, and even as I'm getting older, the conversations that we're having are a lot more candid, they're a lot more open, and I'm starting to understand why he is the way he is, and, like, why he made the decisions that he made, and how, like, the relationship with his dad, because he didn't grow up with his father in his life, and just how that impacted him. So that's, that kind of gives me an insight as to, like, why he is the way he is, and how he, like, unknowingly kind of passed that down to his kids. But
so you're like humanizing him.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I'm understanding things a lot better. So, like, we're a lot better, but there used to be a time where, like, he would call, and I would pick up the phone and my entire demeanor would just change.
Yeah.
And like I did not want to talk to him. There were times
Felt
where like I would
irritating.
let the irritated.
Yeah.
I would let the phone ring and people would be like, "Girl, that's your daddy. You're not gonna answer." And I'm like, "No."
No.
Right? But
Like, I just know I'm gonna pick up to some bullshit. type
exactly. Or like it was just
Or
never
it's
the
just
right
gonna
time.
be a surface level conversation.
It
It's
was
just gonna be
never
the
the right
same
time.
5 minutes.
I was like, if I'm in a good mood, I don't want to talk to him because it's gonna ruin my mood. But then if I'm in a bad mood, I already don't want to talk. It was just never a good
never
time.
a good time. Yeah.
But like I said, as I'm getting older, our relationship definitely is like mending. It isn't perfect, but like I'm starting to realize like, okay, you know, we can have a good thing
Yeah.
going here.
Yeah.
So definitely open to it.
I would definitely say, just to kind of piggyback off of that, because I think I'm in the middle of grieving the relationship. I guess I kind of try to say that I never wanted, but I did, because it's like what I needed from you as a little girl, you can't give me now.
Yeah.
I got it from someone else, which was my mother and God. Yeah, I'm glad you said that, because I think that's where I am now, just kind of grieving the fact that like we can be cool, like
Yeah.
we can,
Yeah.
like you said, build a relationship to where it's like, you know, we're cool, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But
But you're
I
not
don't
gonna get that
honestly
time
feel
back.
like,
Yeah.
I feel like that daddy-daughter relationship is built from childhood. I
Yeah,
think
I
because
agree.
like I can't picture you as like that male savior in my life,
Yeah.
because that's not who you were for me when I was that susceptible
Yeah.
to seeing you as that way. You know, in that way, I'm sorry. But it's like, yeah, I think it's definitely always space to mend the relationship while they're here.
Yeah.
But I think it is important to call that out. Like it is
Yeah.
grief and it is grieving,
Yeah.
because we're never gonna have that daddy-daughter
Yeah.
relationship that other people had, because that starts from your youth. Some things you do have to start from your youth,
So
or
do you
it's
think
not
it
gonna
can-
be
I
the
was just about
same.
to say, do you think like broken relationships, whether it's daddy daughter, mommy son, whatever, do you think if certain relationships are not cultivated at a certain point or age, that even if they are repaired or like revitalized, that it can never be like fully saved? I know that's a loaded question,
Wow,
but
yeah.
and I mean, and y'all can answer that too. Like, do you think, because I do agree, like daddy daughter relationships are, you know,
Yeah.
from young, but I also think as you transition as a woman, right, that there are certain things that like when you are a little girl, that now that you're older as a woman, like you might still need that same thing, but in a different space, in a different way. So maybe it's like, I don't know. It's tricky. I don't even have the full answer myself.
I get what
but
you're saying,
you
though.
know what I'm saying? Like,
I get it, and I'm gonna say no, me personally, only because again, my dad and I could start a journey, and he could become my best friend, but I would never see him as, oh, that's like my Superman, or that's like, even as we get older and we humanize our parents, the way that I view my mom, I'll probably never view my dad that way,
that makes
because my
sense.
mom was the one who I saw every day.
So she was
Doing
more
everything
present.
that she could. My mom is the one that I saw taking money out of her 401k so I could go to college.
Yeah.
Struggling and feeding us, like we were talking about last episode.
Yeah.
Like doing everything in her power to make sure. That's what I saw.
Yeah, that's how you was
And
raised, yeah.
Those first 7 years of a child's life is very, very important. And that's not to say that I didn't see my dad, because I did. And again, like I said in the Daddy Issues episode, he's not a bad father. But it's like, because of the circumstances, he wasn't there. And at the end of the day, it is what it is. Like I said, I'm
Yeah.
cool. I'm down to mending that relationship. I really feel like my dad and I could be very close, but I would never see him like my mom. That's my rock.
Yeah.
Period. My dad, I feel like we could be great friends one day.
I think that's the thing with like trying to rebuild relationships with people, whether it's like parental, platonic, romantic. You really kind of got to detach from how you viewed them in the past. Like the idea of what could have been.
For sure.
In order to try and cultivate a new relationship, because you just never are going to be able to go back to the person who you were and go back to that situation. It happened. You can't change it. So you really got to be willing to like really start anew with a person. And sometimes a lot of people jump back into trying to rebuild something and they're really not ready to start anew for real. Like they're still harboring what hurt them in the past. So yeah, I think that's important.
Yeah. What you and you, Sage, and Kelsey both said, it made me think of this analogy. Like, say if you were to have a cup, right, and a piece of it was to break off, right? You can put that broken piece back on the cup, and it can be functional. You can drink out of it, you can still use it, but it's never going to be the same. You're always going to look at that cup and see that broken piece. So I kind of look at it as that way, like, you know, you can mend something and, you know, it could still be a beautiful thing. It can still be functional. It can still be useful. And you can still, like, you know, make something good out of it. But it's never going to be the same.
Yeah.
So that's just my little 2 cents on that. But
that's really good.
And it sounds simple, like, you know, just accept it's never going to be the same. But it's hard to really accept that. Like, it's just never going to be the same.
Yeah. And like that broken piece, it's going to be a constant reminder. You're always going to look at that and be like, damn, I remember that time it broke. Right? And it's like, I put it back on there. We fixed it.
Listen.
But I'm never going to forget. There's always going to be that reminder. Like,
my guard's always going to be up.
Yeah. You were once broken. This thing was once broken. We fixed it and it's functional, but I'm not going to forget. But, you know, you can accept it and, like I said, still make a good thing out of it.
Especially depending on how deep the crack is.
And how many cracks are there.
How many cracks
how hard they threw the cup.
Okay.
Maybe
they threw it. They threw the cup.
If you had to super glue this shit back together, I don't know.
What material was the cup made out of? Was it glass? Was it
was it plastic?
Was it hard to break
literally, like,
because if it's a plastic cup and you broke it, I don't know.
Right.
shit.
Fixable, but
That shit melted.
No, that definitely makes sense. Y'all made some really good points. Y'all made some good points. So with that, considering the 5 stages of grief, which are denial, anger, bargaining, depression, and acceptance, which phase do you feel like you're currently in?
With person.
I mean, you can either do in a general sense, or if you have specific phases that you're in with specific people, you can touch on that. Whatever you feel like is relevant.
I can't. With my granddad, honestly, I'm between bargaining and depression.
What would you say is bargaining means?
It's like you're trying to convince yourself, like,
it is what it is.
yeah, it's like good, like you're in that in between like the good and the bad. Like you can kind of accept it, but you're kind of, you know,
like you're trying to like. I don't know if you ever saw that video of the giraffe that like is going through the 5 stages. It's like a cartoon animation. They had showed it to us in like psychology. So it's like a giraffe and he's in this like pothole that's sinking. And he's going through the 5 different things of grief, right? So in denial, he's like, I'm not sinking. I'm not sinking. I'm not in a pothole, right? And then anger, he's like, I'm mad, right? And then bargaining, he's like, okay, God, I'm sorry. If you get me out of this pothole, I'm never going to walk over here again. So that was kind of like them trying to explain what bargaining was, right? And then depression, he was like crying. He was like, oh my God, I'm in this pothole. And then acceptance, he was like, well, I'm in this pothole and, you know, I'm sinking. And so I look at bargaining like that, where it's like, you know, if you lost somebody, you're like, God, if you just give them back to me, I promise I'm not going to do this again. Or like, you know, I promise to be better with the next person. Like, and that might even be with someone who's like, you haven't all the way lost, but like, say if, you know, there's somebody who is sick, you're like, you know, you're praying to God, like, God, let it be me instead. Like, take me instead. Or like, you're just trying to make reason with it, or trying to like, you know.
Yeah, just think about,
then I'm definitely in depression then. Because I think I did denial, anger, and bargaining at the same time for my grandfather. Because it was so short. It was like, my stepmom was like, yeah, it's not looking good. And then, like, that Friday, I went to, like, midnight prayer at my church, and I was, like, begging. I was like, please. Just something. I need you to do something. But I also had this voice in my mind, like, but if it's his time, then just let us be okay.
Yeah.
Because I also was thinking, like, and one thing that my stepmom said at the funeral that made me feel better, because his wife, Nana, passed away when we were in undergrad in 2017, and I was like, okay, well, he hasn't been the same, obviously, since she's died. You know, they were together for almost 50 years, high school sweethearts, kids, grandkids, great-grandkids together. Not great-grandkids. No, we haven't had any kids, so grandkids. But, so just imagine losing that partner, that best friend. So I think at this point, she said he was at peace because he was in hospice. And he told her, like, I'm okay. Like, I've made peace. And I think in that moment, I felt a little bit better.
So you might be teetering on acceptance a little bit.
Yeah.
Stepping into it. You just gotta lean into it. You gotta lean into that, girl. It's hard.
Yeah.
It's hard.
And we often bounce around. It's like you can accept it, but there's gonna be a time where you're angry again. Like it's not
a
like
linear
stop
process.
and end.
No.
It's not like you're gonna go through here. You're gonna start here, and then when you get to acceptance, that's
Then
it. That's the end
done.
all be all.
No.
You've gone through. No,
It's not
will say
linear.
too,
Start back at one.
when my grandparents passed, I was never angry. But when I've had friends who have passed,
that's
I have
different,
been
for sure.
angry.
Yeah.
Because when Casey died, Geraldine died the day after him. Those two, I was very angry. And then the next year, Sierra died. And then last year, which was the next year after that, Tashana. So, Tashana, denial. I still
That
cannot process, because it's so weird, because sometimes I'm like looking through old stuff and I'll see, like, because I was like cleaning up my Instagram the other day and I saw her Instagram name was the first one who had liked it. And I was like, oh my God. Like,
I was looking through comments one time and see her comment.
it was
Not too long ago. I was like, what?
Tashana's someone that we all knew. She was
Our former
a former
teammate.
dance team partner.
Yeah, I think I'm definitely in denial with Tashana, because like Tashana and I were never like close like that. But she was just one of those people, like, she had great energy, great vibe, beautiful spirit, literally, could light up a room, right?
Literally.
And so what felt random to me, somebody had reached out to me and was like, hey, like, we're working on a project, like a short film with poems, and I think dancing was supposed to be in it or something like that. And they were like, we want you to be part of the short film. Mind you, I haven't really, like, I write and do, my poetry, but I haven't really been tapping into my creative side like I need to for the past, like, year or so. And so when her friend, who I found out later was her friend, reached out to me and was like, do you want to be a part of this project? I was like, okay, cool. Like that seems dope. And then I was like, how did you get, like, my information? Like, how did you know who I am? And so then she was like, oh, like, somebody, like, referred me to you, whatever. But she didn't say, like, who she was. So I was like, okay, like, that's cool, whatever. And I never thought to ask who it was, because it didn't really matter to me, like, who referred me. I was just like, oh, somebody else thought of me. That's sweet. Then we hop on the Zoom call, and I see Tashana. I'm like, yo, like, and I'm like, this your project? She's like, yeah. Oh, my bad. She's like, yeah, like, this is my project. Like, we're putting this together, to highlight creativity, all this stuff, whatever. I kid y'all not. It was probably, like, we ended up shooting. Tashana was in New York, so she didn't come to the shoot. The shoot was here. And we ended up shooting for the project probably, like, it was during October, because I remember it still being kind of, like, cool outside. And then I feel like it was, like, 3 weeks, maybe a month after or so. Timeline could be a little bit off, but it was a short time span. And I remember scrolling on Instagram, and then I see one of the girls that was also a part of the project posting videos and stuff of her, and was like, like, sleep in peace and everything. I said, huh? What?
Yeah, no.
And so I remember DMing the girl, and I was like, yo, like, what happened? Like, we were just on Zoom, bro. We were just on Zoom. And that's the part that I feel like when it comes to, like, grief, when it's like you just seen somebody, or it's like sudden, especially when it's young people, that's a
That
hurtful one.
bothers me so
Or
bad.
if it's something that is tragic, that's what I feel like is tough. But with her, definitely still kind of in like the denial space. And then I would say with my like childhood friend's mom, it's still, I don't even know what phase I'm in with that, because they live like I have to pass her house to get to my house every day. And my grandfather, the day that my grandfather just passed was the same day that she passed, like what, a year, 2 years ago now. And so it was just like, what the hell, like. And so passing her house and stuff, and then she passed at the end of April. I want to say it was like April 26th or something like that. So like, and then seeing, you know, her house there, sometimes I just look over and I just think I'm gonna just see her like out there, you know.
Ooh, that.
And just kind of hoping like this is not, hers was very sudden to me. So it was like, I remember I got the call, I was screaming in my car. Like I was driving somewhere, I was going to drop off a graduation cap, and I just pulled over and I was screaming and like damn near hyperventilating in my car, like what the hell do you mean she passed? And then with my grandfather, I definitely think I'm still in. I'm kind of in the anger phase. I'm not gonna lie, because like anger mixed with bargaining, because he was sick. He had Alzheimer's. So, and for those of you who know what Alzheimer's is, it is degenerative. So it can take over your whole body to the point where like you start losing bodily functions. So that's what ended up happening. Like with him, he was pretty much bedbound for almost like 3 years now, I want to say. So he couldn't talk, get up, do anything by himself. He was being taken care of by my grandmother, and we have like a family caregiver as well. But kind of bargaining, because it's like, okay, you know, like I know you're like at peace now, you're not suffering, because it's not like a quality, you know, life. But also anger, because it's like time, bro. Like last time I saw him was 2021. We're in 2024, so it's like damn, like time. I wish that I took advantage of that time when I was with him. So it does make me angry that I sometimes wish I moved differently. And I didn't get the chance to, but I'm still like, you know, grateful for the time that we did have.
Yeah.
I was also gonna say, because I didn't do Sierra's, but Sierra for me was anger because of how she passed. So she died in 2022. She got shot, basically. She was out with her friends from back home, and some other people got into it, and she was basically at the wrong place at the wrong time. And I think for me, it was just kind of like, how is it that, because another guy, she was 25, another guy, he was 24 or 26, one of those, he passed away that night too. And it's like, how are these two people whose lives are just now starting, they can't go home to their families, but these people who got mad over dumb shit and started pulling out guns get to go home, and they still haven't caught who that was. And it's at this point, it's like, are y'all even trying to catch this man at this point? And to me, it's just like, for her, I think I honestly feel like I'm gonna be stuck in anger until they find that man, because it's just not fair. You took two people's lives, two young people's lives, because somebody spilled a drink on you.
Yeah.
How the fuck is that fair? That's not fair. That's one, I think, yeah.
I feel like you just gotta hope that life is doing to them what the justice system ain't doing.
Yeah, that's
For real. Me, I think that in the few losses that I have experienced, I think I'm in quite a stage of acceptance at this point in life. I would say for me personally, maybe the top significant one was definitely was losing my childhood best friend. that was tough. April 20th, April 10th, 2021. It was tough for sure. After that, I definitely went through the stages for sure. But I think now I am in a place of acceptance. Yeah.
I love that for you.
I think I feel lost though. Anyways.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, just like I was telling Kelsey earlier, like I feel like I bounce around a lot, like because I've come to accept it. I feel like the way that I view death, like it's easier for me to accept the fact that like, it's inevitable, it's gonna happen. But I just try to make sure that the time that I spend with the people on this earth is, well lived, and that they know that that I love them. So I've come to accept it, but like I said, I still bounce around, and every now and then I'll be in denial, or every now and then I'll be in that depressive state, and but like I don't know, it's not a linear thing for me.
Yeah.
I bounce around a lot because I can easily come to accept the fact that like this person is no longer here. It's hard to accept it, but I can accept it. But like I said, I bounce around a lot.
Yeah, that kind of segued into like the next question about the process of grief. So y'all pretty much answered it, but is grief an awkward process for you, or do you allow yourself to go through the different phases when you experience loss, whether it's physical or non-physical? How do you feel like y'all maneuver when it comes to the actual process of experiencing loss?
Well, me, I think that I definitely had to, because it was tough for a long time. It was a good little minute where I was not leaving the bed. I was not, I wasn't doing anything. I couldn't eat. I felt nauseous all the time, round the clock, every single day. But I think that it was an awkward process, but I think I just had to kind of force myself to realize, like, okay, this is a thing that happens. It's not fair. This was a young person. It happens to them too, unfortunately. So you just kind of got to really try to reshape your mind of how you look at life itself for real. And just kind of tap into some kind of spirituality in a sense. Like, hey, they're not here in the physical anymore, but their spirit is here. Their spirit lives in their loved ones who love them and who care to, carry them on through them. And yeah, for real, really, I just feel like you just have to reshape how you look at life in general. Because, yeah, shit is tough. Shit is very, very, very tough. But you gotta allow yourself to go through it, though. Ultimately, you have to. It's no way to get out of that shit. Like, you have to go through it, and it's scary and it's hard, and it can be really, really, really fucking dark, very dark sometimes. Cause at least with
It's hard stuff.
yeah, especially with death loss, like. Because it's a thing that it happens, man. Yeah, it happens.
Ain't no way around it.
I think what you said today, just like allowing yourself to go through it is important, giving yourself grace, and being able to acknowledge like when you're feeling the way that you're feeling, and just kind of like letting yourself go through the motions, and not trying to hold it back. So, like I said, if you're angry at a point, accept or like acknowledge it. Be like, in this moment I'm angry. Allow yourself to experience that. Allow yourself to go through it, because it's not gonna last forever. But definitely just giving yourself that grace and being gentle with yourself. And if someone else is going through it, being gentle with that person as well. I think it's the biggest thing.
I think grieving people who are still here is very awkward. And grieving death is a lot harder for me, but it makes more sense as to why I'm grieving, because they're no longer here. Grieving friendships or relationships, especially friendship, I'm not gonna lie, I think friendship breakups
Are tough.
hurt me just as bad as, if not worse than, relationship breakups. Because I feel like with relationships, like, yes, that hurts, they're romantic, that's the person, like, you know, your partner in life, whatever. But I feel like with friendship, if I call you my friend, I view you as family.
Yeah.
And if I view you as family and this or that happened, I'm like, dang, like, I thought you were my family. And I think it's hard because, like, I'll see someone that, like, I'm grieving, right? Or I've grieved. Is that how you say it? Grieved?
Grieved, yeah.
Okay.
Past tense.
I just had to make sure my grammar was correct. For instance, an ex-friend of mine, I genuinely thought she was going to be, like, in my wedding. She was going to be my best friend. I thought our kids were going to be friends one day. Like, when I tell you I saw her earlier this year and she walked right past me, that shit broke my heart into pieces. And it was like, but I'm the one who made the decision not to go back to the friendship because I had to put myself first. Instead of being like, dang, like, I miss you, but, like, you just have not been a good friend. Like, you, overall, like, we've done a lot of things for each other over the years, but, like, just when people grow, sometimes I think the hardest thing to realize or come into terms with is that we're not always going to grow in the same direction.
Yeah.
And I think that was just because it wasn't a significant thing that happened. It was just like, we're just not going in the same direction anymore. And I think, yeah, it was just hard. It was hard for, because it was 3 of us. So it was hard for me and the other girl because we saw her and we were just like, should we say hey? Like, what should we do? And she looked at us and she turned back around and she kept walking. And I was just like, okay. I guess that's what it, but it was just awkward because it wasn't like nasty, it wasn't snarky, it was just more of like she saw us, we saw her, and she just kept walking. And it was just weird. It stuff like that to me is awkward. And then, like, grieving relationships, depending on what happened in the relationship.
Yeah.
Because I feel like, y'all know, I'm not really grieving that. It's more of like, I'm just ready to be over it.
Yeah, no, that makes sense.
Yes.
It is definitely, I think, like you said, it is very awkward. It's an awkward process in general, whether the person is still physically here or not. But definitely people who are still here that no longer have access to you, or you no longer have access to them for whatever reason. Sometimes I do find myself, I guess, grieving, like, conversations that were never had. Just out of curiosity as to, like, what would have happened, and just also thinking about, okay, the role I played and the role that, the role the other person played or the people played, but just conversations that were never had. And it's like, what is the narrative they tell of the situation, or the narrative that they have in their mind? Did they grieve the no longer existing, like, friendship, you know, like I did a little bit, even if it was in a weird way? It was still a loss, regardless of, like, why things ended or how things ended. It's kind of just leaves me, like, wondering sometimes. And even it is also awkward for me with people that I'm no longer friends with, not necessarily because anything happened, but like how you said, just like growing apart. But not even like, you know, those friends that you grow apart from and like you feel like y'all are growing apart, but the ones where, not those type of growing apart friendships, but more so the ones where it's like we've grown apart unintentionally. And
you just don't talk.
And we just don't talk, or we're just not on that same wavelength anymore. I definitely feel like I've had 2 friends that I was pretty close to. Like, you know, those friends sometimes you might, like, make a pact with that be like, okay, like, you know, if by this point we're gonna do this or whatever. I definitely have had, like, 2 friends where we kind of just had, we
got older.
We got older and we kind of just grew apart. And it's not like, one of them I know I could still have access to because I know we have mutual connections, but I just don't think we would serve each other in the same capacity now. So it's really no point. And it's kind of sad though, because it's like, dang, bro, like you were you were we were you were my
piece of
nigga.
pie.
Like we was you know like and it was one of them. We were a trio. Like it was the three of us.
Okay.
You see me, you see the other two. Like we were the three of us were always like together. But then just after kind of towards the end of high school and then after high school things kind of just dissipated. And then when it comes to death, I don't deal with death well at all. I don't think anybody likes going to funerals, but I will like not go. Or like when it comes to funerals, wakes, all that, I will not go. If I don't have to go, I will not go. I know for some people they need like that closure and need to be there. If it's up to me, my choice, I will not go. And that makes me sad that I don't want, like I want to go, but just it's just too much. It's just too much for me. So that one is like something that I don't do well with. And what I've noticed is I keep myself busy so that I don't have to think about whether I am going through the stages of grief. And then randomly, it'll just hit me in waves, or I'll make like impulsive decisions, or just random emotions just coming out of nowhere. Well, seems like coming out of nowhere to other people, but in reality, it's like no, like you're grieving. It's just catching up to you.
That's
and
real.
so when grief plays catch up, it definitely can project outward in some crazy ways.
Yeah.
For sure.
But I definitely don't fully allow myself to go through the phases when it comes to physical loss. And that's something that I know I need to get better at, because the only thing that's absolute in life is death.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Yeah. I feel that for sure.
Yeah.
No, those were good. I think we all made like some really good points. With that last question, so as we come to the end, what's your fondest memory of someone that you've either physically lost, or it doesn't even have to be physically lost, just someone that you've lost? What's your fondest memory?
Well, real quick, I just want to start off by saying RIP to all of the people that we've lost. You are dearly missed. We love you guys, and we hope that your legacy and memory is lived on through us. So I just kind of want to start off with that. But fondest memory. So my high school best friend, her name was Crystal. That was my girl. We had a little group chat called the Eustace Gang, because there was like a couple of us. There was like 3 of us. And we all stayed on a military base because all of our family was military. We literally all lived like right next to each other. So we had a little group chat, and it's still up to this day on Instagram. And I didn't even know until I like went through my messages and saw that we still had our little Eustace Gang, little girl chat. But my friend Crystal that passed, she had did this debutante ball, and she had invited me to it. And I was so excited. It was me and her mama, and we were just sitting there looking at her do her thing, and she just looked so pretty. She was like this most gorgeous like chocolate girl with this pretty white smile, and she looked like a doll. Ooh, she looked so beautiful, and I'm glad that I got to see her in a white dress. Because I was like, I'm probably never going to be able to see her get married. But she looked like a doll. And I had printed the picture out. Whew, trying to talk and cry is like so hard. But I had printed the picture out and framed it and gave it to her as a birthday gift. And when she had passed, her mom had sent me that picture of us. And it was actually sad when her mom told me, because she didn't even tell me that Crystal had passed. She had just sent pictures of us to me with like a broken heart. And I already knew. I was like, you don't even got to tell me. I already know what you're trying to tell me. So, RIP to my girl. I love you forever. And it's so cute because for her, at her funeral, they had played a video. And her old boyfriend, they weren't together at the time, but he was at the funeral. They had played a video, and she had... up in like her room on her mirror, she had my graduation photo. She had my graduation photo on her mirror. And I didn't know she still had it. I had sent it to her when I first graduated nursing school, and the fact that I saw it on her mirror in that video just really brought me, like, it brought me so much joy. So she lives on. She lives on, and her memory lives on, and I'll never forget her smile. She was like the prettiest girl ever. So R.I.P. to my girl. That's my fondest memory. And yeah, Lord Jesus,
I'm like hiding behind
that took a turn fast. I was trying to keep it together. Oh
I knew once that question came up, I said, all right, here, this is.
It's getting real.
Yeah,
for sure. It's getting real, but
thank you for sharing.
Love you so much.
I know that. I never got the privilege of meeting Crystal, but I know she looked beautiful because I've seen debutante balls, and I actually did a debutante ball, so I know exactly what you mean by like the white dress. So I'm glad you got to see her in that light and in that space. Okay, well, I guess I'll go.
Yeah.
My, whew. My childhood friend Molisha, her mom, her name was Arlisha. Molisha and Arlisha.
That's so cute.
And like I said, they lived up the street from us. And every Thanksgiving, she would make this key lime cake, boy. It was the best fucking cake. And
key lime pie?
Key lime cake. No, it was key lime cake. I don't like key lime pie, but that key lime cake.
It was different.
I have never heard of that.
It's like the cake was green like key lime, and then the icing was it was like a mix between like cream cheese and like buttercream with like some nuts on it. I don't really know how to describe it, but she would always make that and a red velvet cake, and it was also a 5-layer pound cake or something like that. But we would always like go and get that for Thanksgiving. Then we would fight over a slice at the house. Like, I would have to tell her, like, pack a separate little piece for me because I'm not trying to share with nobody at the house. And just her spirit, man, like, she was like, you know those moms that are like everybody's moms pretty much, like the community moms more so, not just like a mom to you, but those moms who like every the whole but it was like my mom, but like the whole community knew her. You know, so like high school, middle school, elementary school, everything. No, it's okay. It was just she was one of those, and so really every memory of her, man, just like seeing her face when I would go to local Publix or just getting picked up from practice with her. And then I would say I kind of wish I had like like a super fond memory of my grandfather. He was always very quiet. And I know that like he always treated, you know, my grandma right. They got to travel the world together. So I guess that's a memory that when I think about him, like, I'm like, I want somebody who treated my grandma like that. Like, I remember asking my brother one day, we were talking about love and what does love look like to him, and he's like, I want a love like Grandma Grace and Grandpa Pat. I think that's just really admirable, you know, when you have somebody who's like selfless and would do anything. And just like the man that he was for my dad played a really, I know it played a really pivotal role in my dad's life because it's his stepdad, but he considers him his dad because he, you know, just came into his life and really always treated him like that was his son. And my dad will tell you, like, that's my dad, you know. And I just, yeah, I'm grateful for the times that we did have, both Miss Arlisha and Grandpa Pat. And Miss Arlisha, I know you're up there making one hell of a key lime cake. When I go to Piece of Cake, sometimes the cake they have there tastes pretty similar to yours, but it's damn near not as good as yours. And Grandpa Pat, I know you're just smiling down and you're not suffering anymore. So I would say those are mine. Ooh.
Kelsey or me? All right, I'm gonna try to get through this as quickly as possible. Devin is my friend that died in middle school. I spent part of 5th grade there in Mississippi, and he was the first friend that I ever made.
Bear with us, y'all.
Yeah, please bear with us.
I was gonna say, we gave y'all the trigger warning in the beginning, so
Y'all
shouldn't be
knew
no
it was
complaints that we.
Y'all knew it was coming.
This is real.
He came
Real
up to me and he was like, "Do you want to play kickball?" And I was like, "Yeah." And ever since then, he was always just like such a great friend to me, and I just remember that because like no one else was talking to me, and he like looked at me, and then he looked at me again, and he just walked up, and he's like, "Do you want to play?" And I was like, "Yeah."
And those small moments are like so important.
Yeah.
Especially as a kid.
I think with Nana, it was just this one time we were having a talk, and I was just telling her how frustrated I was, like, at my job at the time, and she just gave me a lot of encouragement. She was like, you know, basically what we've always said, like, sometimes you gotta do what you gotta do so you can do what you want to do. And then there's just some other personal things that we talked about, and she just spoke a lot of life into me. My mom's parents, and I hate to say this, but I was so young when they passed away. But I do have this memory of, you know, the little things that you prick your finger, like if you had diabetes. Mm-hmm. So I was like, I had to be like 3 or 4. And I think this is one of my earliest memories ever. And I pricked my finger. And my grandma was like, "I told you." I remember that because I was so mad at her for being like, "I told you." Like, girl, I am crying. It is blood coming out of my fingertip. I remember my granddad came in. He just started laughing. He was just like, "She told you." And I was like, "Bro, that's not what I wanted from you in this moment." But it was just so funny because I was so, like, hard-headed. Because they were telling me, "Kelsey, don't touch that." And I know I was young because I remember looking up at the dresser. I had to be 3. And I was a tall child. So I had to be like 3 or 4. But I remember that. And I remember they liked orange juice with pulp in it. And I used to think that pulp was dandruff. And they were all like, anytime I asked my grandma for juice, I'd be like, "I don't want the dandruff juice."
It does kind of look like dandruff.
It look like dandruff
if you like
in your
pour it
juice.
out and you see.
Does it not?
It
It's
does.
dandruff juice. But my friend Geraldine, she died the day after Casey, and she was, I think, a year or 2 older than me, and we all had Spanish together. It was a little group, and the teacher was like from Honduras or something. He was black, and our class was small. But I remember like, when our little group would like get out of class, we would all go to like her room or somebody's room. And Geraldine, she's so beautiful. She had these really deep dimples. I never saw her not smiling. And I used to tell her, like, I love hanging out with you. You're so inspiring to me. I looked up to her a lot, and she's just such a beautiful person. So I honestly don't have, like, one memory. It was just having class with her and just looking up to her. And then, like, with Casey, I think spring break was definitely a great... spring break was definitely a great memory. I remember
Was that the spring break I wasn't with y'all?
Yeah. Casey fell asleep on the couch, and I think it was like me and Hazel and I think Josh, and we were all talking. And next thing you know, Casey just threw up everywhere. We were just like, Casey, what are you doing? He was like, my bad. It was so funny. It was hilarious. Oh my gosh. And then like with Sierra died in 2022. She got shot. She was in her campus with me, and when we graduated, she was the president at the time, so she had my cord. And I remember her walking up to me, and she gave me my cord, and she was like, bro, we did it. Man. She was like, we finally made it here. Jesus. I'm trying to get through these, y'all. I'm so sorry. I mean, honestly, anytime Tashana walked in a room, she lit up the room. I can't narrow down a moment. I do remember my birthday, 2021. We had on the same bathing suit, and she was like, I'm so sorry. Cause she was like, it's your birthday. I said, girl, I do not care. I'm just glad that you're here. Because I think I hadn't seen her in a while. And I actually have those pictures of us. We had the same bathing suit. It was a different color. But I just remember that moment she walked up. And it was just so funny. Because we just kind of looked at each other. And we just started laughing. It was like, damn, my bad. But I mean, that's what happens when you shop at Shein. But, and then with Poppy, I remember we were at my dad's house, and he was up here visiting, and I was talking to him about life is weird, and he just seemed to be like really intrigued about it. When we did Milan's music video, I remember I sent it in our family chat, and he called me. He said he thought I was Milan in the lingerie. He was like, "Is that you on this?" And I was like, no, I'm in the back dancing. He was like, oh, he's like, I almost had a heart attack. I was like, Poppy, chill. But I remember he called me, and he doesn't call. So it was just so funny because he was like, is that you in this video? I was like, no, that's not me. I'm in the back. And he always used to watch like Animal Planet and National Geographic. And I remember when my dad lived in his old house, he was watching this special on like the Galapagos Islands. I don't know why I was so interested in the Galapagos Islands. I think because they got giant turtles over there, and I love turtles. And I just remember watching it with him, and I think one of my cousins, she came down. She was like, "What are you watching?" And I was like, "Turtles." She went back upstairs, and we kept watching it. But yeah, I'm done. Sorry.
You did good.
That's good. Oh Lord. Okay. So, backstory. My childhood best friend. I can't even really say just childhood because that was my guy into, past high school, early adulthood too. Backstory, we met when we were like 5, 6 at church. We went to church together. I was really, really quiet growing up, and I had a couple of like friends that I made that approached me to kind of break me out of my shell, and he was really that one at church. So, and I would spend a lot of my, I would be there every Sunday, things like that, real quiet, but he was definitely the one who saw me and always made me feel comfortable from jump, because that's just who he was. I don't know what brought, like, why he took to me in that kind of way, but yeah, so it started from early on. So, let's see. Fondest memory. I would say it's a lot. It's definitely a lot. Chris was one of the funniest people I knew, one of the smartest people. I like that kid. It didn't even make sense how smart he was. He just knew everything about everything. He taught me a lot. Like, I owe a lot of my just growth throughout my younger years to him, because he really kind of got, like, as young as he was, we was the same age, he really kind of guided me through life. And he was one of those guy friends where it never got twisted on what it was.
I love that.
So he meant a lot to me. Means a lot to me. I would say the fondest memory, or one of the fondest memories, was so I was turning 16, and I never had a party. I never had anything like, kind of big like that. And this boy took it upon himself to collaborate with my mom and my sister. And the friends that I had, it threw me a surprise party. And, jeez. Like, one thing I never ever questioned was that boy, like, adored me. And I adored him, because I just have never experienced anybody in my life that really kind of made me feel as seen as he did at that age. Because, like I said, I was real shy, real quiet. I didn't have a lot of friends, but him, like, that boy was my rock for sure throughout, like, later middle school, high school, going into college. He, shout out to him. Like I said, he was so smart. He got really sick when he was graduating high school, or towards the end of high school. So right before he was supposed to go to Morehouse, he was supposed to take off with his life. Unfortunately, he didn't get the opportunity because he got really sick. And then sickness turned into, just not to put his business on Front Street, but it's okay. Sickness turned into addiction. Addiction turned into him really turning to street life, and him forgetting about his intelligence and what his future could have been, which kind of pushed us apart, unfortunately. And eventually things just kind of started going a little bit downhill. And yeah, anyways, so I would definitely say that would probably be one of the biggest things. And I think after he died, so when he was in the hospital, when he got really sick one time, I visited him and I brought him this lion stuffed animal, because it looked like him. Like, he always had his hair big. We kind of looked like we could have been related, because we both had our hair, like, big and curly. He was real coolly, anyways. But I gave him this lion, and this was back when we was, like, 17. Like I said, he died 2021, so he was, I want to say, 22. I remember his little sister, who, God bless her, his little baby sister sent me a DM, and she was holding the stuffed animal, and I was like, girl, that looks familiar. Where did you get that from? And he's like, Chris, I remember when I was younger, he would never let me hold it. He would never let me touch it. And I was just like, damn, like, that boy he really loved me for real. And I think it's unfortunate that I don't know if I'm ever going to be able to have a friendship like that, especially with a male. But I'm grateful for who he was. Yeah, I'm grateful I got to experience him when he was living his best and doing his best. He was a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful spirit, regardless of what worldly things kind of got in the way of that. His spirit is like, it's there, it's vibrant, and I'll always see it as very pure. And I think I've come to accept that he is not here, just because I think that towards the end of his life, it just got to a point where he just could not do this anymore just due to things that happened to him, things that he experienced, and things like that. So I think knowing that has given me a lot of peace with him being gone. Yeah, I'm not gonna go too much into his life story and everything like that, but shout out to you, Chris. I love you so much. Like I didn't even think that you understood, but hearing how your friends and family told me how much he knew that I loved him and how much he loved me, it brought me a lot of peace. So I cried, but like I'm good.
Yeah,
We good.
we all good, and I appreciate all of y'all for sharing. You know, we told y'all this episode's gonna get a little dicey, a little sensitive. But I mean, that's what comes with the territory. You know, it's important to be vulnerable and fully tap into your emotions, whether the person is still physically here or not. Because like we've been talking about this whole time, that is a part. It is part of the process. It's part of the healing process. And we promise next episode will be a lot lighter for y'all to close out the season. But just to, finish up the episode, without altering when you experienced your loss, if you could go back in time, what's one thing that you would have said or done differently?
I don't think I would have done anything differently because, like I said, I find a lot of comfort and peace in knowing that when I've lost these people, that they had no doubt in their mind how much I cared about them, how much I love them. That's why I'm touchy-feely still, even to this day, and I am a hugger, okay? I'm going to hug people when I see them. I'm going to hug them when I leave them. I'm going to hug you even if you don't like being hugged. Prime example, Gabby.
Me.
She don't like being touched, but she know how I am, so I'll be like, bitch, let me hug you. So,
I just be sucking it up now. I don't even fight it. I just be like, hug me.
you know? So if anything, I'm going to keep that going. I'm going to keep that going because, like I said, I want the people who I love in this lifetime to know how much I love them. So I don't think I would have done anything differently because, like I said, not a day went by where I wasn't like, girl, I love you so much. She knew how great of a friend she was to me. She knew how much I valued our friendship. So I find comfort in knowing that. But
yeah. Oh, that's good.
What about y'all?
For me, I wish I would have taken more pictures. Definitely wish I would have taken more pictures for sure. I probably do have a picture with Miss Arlisha somewhere out there. I can't find one in my phone. Maybe her kids have one since it was like my friend. That was her mom. And then my grandpa. My dad actually sent me a picture from when I was a kid. It was like me, him, and my brother. It was after my dance recital. Of course, I have no recollection. Like I told y'all, my memory when it comes to childhood stuff is really shit. So I don't remember taking that picture at all. But it was so cute and everything, and I love that picture of us because I feel like you can feel his spirit and his vibe through that picture. He was, like I said, he was a nice, soft-spoken, like he was a gentle guy. But I definitely wish, especially the last time I saw him, because the last time I saw him was in 2021. I can't fully remember. I think somebody did take a picture of us at Thanksgiving. But I felt like since he was in a different physical state, that I was a bit hesitant to take a picture because I didn't want to like reflect on it and be sad about it. But now looking back, it's like I definitely wish that I would have taken that picture. I think somebody has one, but I don't have it. So taking more pictures for sure, because they always say the people that you're like closest to or people that you come into contact with pretty often, you don't have pictures with them the most. Or just people in general. Sometimes, time escapes you, but if anything, man, take pictures with your people. Like it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if it's like a silly photo, a photo that you think is ugly, because sometimes that's all you have left. So,
yeah, I definitely agree. I would definitely take it. For me, I think that well, speaking about Chris specifically, I feel like we did take a lot of pictures, but a lot of them are on like old phones, old cameras that I don't have anymore. So I do wish that I would have like printed more, like had them in physical form and put them on something, because boy, it was like a lot of memories that I really can't access because I can't get back into those devices. So, and it's really unfortunate. So I would say that. I think that a lot of what I would have done and said differently, I had a lot of that like when I was going through, like earlier on in the grieving process. But I think that over time I've kind of accepted, like, you know, what I gave to his life and what he gave to my life is what it is. You know, nothing more, nothing less. It is what it is, and I'm grateful for it regardless, even though, you know, I do wish could have talked about more things, could have seen each other more, you know, things like that. But I'm like in a place where I feel like I'm content of, you know, what we did get to do. So
this question's a little weird for me. Definitely more pictures though, especially with like Devin and Geraldine, because of the devices. Especially Devin. I was 12 when he died, so we ain't really had no phones for real. And the phone that I had, child, what camera? But this question's a little weird for me because I would say spend more time, but when you have a lot of people in your life that you're constantly trying to keep up with, that gets so draining. So it's like, I want to say I wish I would have spent more time, but then it's like, would that be time that I would have enjoyed or time well spent because of how hard it is? And I thought about this question for a while. So I don't want to say spend more time, but I will say I wish I would have expressed how much I loved them more.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
Because you can't divide yourself between everybody that you know all the time. But the one thing that I always want people to know is, like, even if me and Paige, we don't talk all the time 'cause she's a mom. But I always make sure to tell her, like, I love you so much. And, yeah, so that's mine.
I think, well, we made it.
Wait, no, cancel the answer.
I did.
Oh, you did?
I was gonna
Yeah,
say
she
cancel
did.
this.
Oh.
I'm really done. I mean, honestly, the same thing like y'all said. Take more pictures. Even though I had hella pictures, my computer crashed and I lost all my high school pictures.
No
All my high
way.
school pictures, videos, music, files. So, I mean, I would have wished I put my
devastating.
fucking pictures on a hard drive.
Yeah,
But
we got to print for real. Go back to how our grandparents did it and have
Look,
them scrapbooks,
photo albums for
something.
sure.
Yeah, them
So-
photo albums.
but yeah.
Well, we made it, guys. We definitely made it. We made it through the episode. I think we did really good. You know, considering the topic, I feel like we held up well. The tears were expected. We were ready for them. We had the wine. We had the tissues. We had a headache. We had each other.
Clothes, we in these
Loungewear. We said the topic is heavy. Let's be comfortable at the least. So we made it. But of course, you guys know we finish off our episodes with our last two segments. So we have What's Weird, Sweetie, from a writer inner. And their question is, based on how you've dealt with grief in the past, what coping mechanisms do you plan on implementing in the future?
I think just facing it. I think a lot of times in my past, I tried to run from it or deny it. So facing it, I think the last few more recent deaths that I've dealt with, I just was like, yo, like, you have to deal with it. You have to cry. If you don't want to cry in front of people, then don't. But you're going to have to cry it out. So definitely just facing it. Therapy is my number two go-to, because, you know, Jesus. But, yeah, nah, for sure. Just facing it and not running from it, because it's nothing that you can run from.
Yeah. You can't run. You can't hide.
No, go ahead, yeah.
Just admitting that I'm not okay. Like, when I'm not okay, just saying, like, no. Like, if someone asks, like, are you doing okay? How are you doing? I'm not well. I am not doing
Not well.
I am not well.
Well, thank you for asking.
I'm not doing okay. I don't have the mental capacity. And then becoming less busy, like actually giving myself time, giving myself those days to stay in the bed and not get out the bed, giving myself those days to eat whatever shitty food I want to eat and just sit and soak for a little minute, you know? Because like I said, I feel like I keep myself busy on purpose so that I don't feel and go through the motions and I don't really talk about it. I kind of just do stuff and then I realize mine starts to turn into anger. Like when I don't release, it turns into like irritation and anger and just like frustration, and I just start like getting irritated or lashing out on people I have no business lashing out on. Like my mom coming in, hey, how you doing? Get out, angry. Like whoa, whoa there, you know. So yeah, just choosing healthier methods, being vocal about how I feel, giving myself that time and those days to face it head on, like Kelsey said, and just realizing it's a process and it does take time.
Yeah. I would definitely say therapy for sure. I have not experienced like grief counseling before. I kind of have raw dogged it. But I definitely think that it'll help, for the future. I think that therapy will definitely help me navigate it a little bit better. I think so. One of my strangest coping mechanisms when I was dealing with loss was like just staying on devices. That's not something that I want to do again. Like I couldn't sleep unless something was on a screen in front of my face making noise. Like I just could not sleep.
I was like that too.
It was bad.
Because you can focus on something else instead of letting your mind wander.
No, literally, that escapism was crazy. That escapism was crazy for sure. So I think, which I think, it's not always like a unhealthy thing, but I definitely think that there's a limit, and I think that I was way past that limit. So I think forcing myself to still kind of go about daily life, kind of like allowing myself to sit in the emotions, but not like sink in the emotions, because I think that's something that I've had troubles with in the past, just dealing with grief, depression in general, and things like that. So just kind of, I think Gabby is kind of the opposite of me. Like she got to do something. I'm like, I can't do anything. So I think I need to be more like that. For sure.
I find that balance.
Find that balance for sure. There's definitely a balance to be made there. So yeah, I would definitely say those, and just looking at life for what it is. Like it ain't forever, and the spirit, the spirit lives on.
Yes. Amateurs.
It's okay. The mic just died.
Let's see. I feel like my biggest coping mechanisms is one, just continuing their legacy, making sure that their spirit still stays alive within you, still talk to them. I'll ask them to come visit me in my dreams.
Oh, shit.
Balloon
Sorry, I didn't. Never mind.
What?
You said visit you in your dreams. I didn't think about that. Like, that's a.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That one, I felt that.
You should try it.
It kind of scared me a little. That's why I said.
No, it probably sounds scary, but
that's.
It's nice. It's nice. Yeah. I mean, they don't always do it. It's not like I'm like, hey, come visit me tonight, and they pop up. And it's crazy because like actually lately I haven't been dreaming at all, which it sucks because I'm like, I want to dream. Yeah. I want to dream, but I haven't been dreaming much lately. But like I really, I'll still talk to them and I'll still include them in my prayers and ask them to come visit me in my dreams. And when birthdays come up, I'm honoring their birthdays and just like I said, just making sure that their spirit lives on. But then also changing my perspective was a big one. Because like I said, I hated the fact that like I felt like I was okay when it came to accepting their death, but then out of nowhere, I would just like bawl my eyes out. Yeah. But I changed my outlook and I was like, you know what? The way I look at it is my love for them is so infinite See, this is what I'm talking about. This is what I'm talking about. Yeah. I feel like I'm okay that I'm not.
I can't
But
reach you.
my love for them is so infinite that I'm always gonna cry when I think about them because I love them that much.
Yeah.
So I try to look at it like that and not be upset with the fact that I still just bawl out
Yeah.
when I think about them or when I recall memories. But
Shows you're
like,
human.
right.
Yeah.
like I wear it as a badge of honor. I don't know what
Badge
this.
of honor.
I don't know what it is with this badge of honor, but like I said, just looking at it from that aspect, like you know what, my love for them was so deep. I'm always gonna feel this way about them. I'm always gonna be passionate about whenever I speak about them. So just looking at it like that. So
Like gratitude, like thank you for making me think of you.
you know, yeah.
Thank you for.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I forgot I
reminding
stole
me.
your mic. I forgot I stole.
Like,
your
oh,
mic.
thank you for making me think of you right now
Yeah,
in this
you
moment.
know?
Shout out to you. I love you so much. I hope you're resting.
You know.
Yeah. That's a beautiful thing though.
Yeah.
Like,
Knowing that they're at peace
yeah.
and not like, honestly, I look at it like this. They're at so much more peace than we are
Absolutely.
right now.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And like I remember when
Yeah.
Life is weird.
Yeah.
For real.
And like our friend Leah, she told me that when Poppy died, she was just like, I know you don't want to hear this right now, but I'm telling you, he's at so much more peace than we are.
For sure.
And honestly, like he's with God,
Yeah.
and he's more safe than we could ever be.
He up there getting lit with the angels. Like,
You feel me?
You know, like that's pretty. That's cool.
I feel
Like
like,
not, but it is. Like,
Yeah.
you know, it's like like you said, it's a peaceful feeling. Like once you realize like that they've transcended and they're just in a better space. Especially like I would say for me too, like knowing that my grandfather was sick and just thinking of how, like, I guess you could say prolonged it was. Like he was like that for a while. And so seeing like my grandma having to see her husband like that and then being like that takes a toll on her, and then my dad and then his brother, like just everybody, we were kind of like preparing, but you're never like I thought
prepared.
I thought I would have been more prepared, you know, because we knew like he was not okay.
yeah.
But then I remember when my mom texted me that day and was like, call me when you can, like it's not urgent. And I'm like, okay, if you saying it's not urgent, it's probably urgent. And then I called her and she was just letting me know like he's not doing too well. And I thought I would have had a couple more days after she sent that text and like let me know like he wasn't doing well. But literally like the next day, like we were talking and everything. My dad flew out and stuff that night. And then I'm glad he went because he got there like 2 or 3 hours probably before he passed. And we were all talking that night and everything. And then my mom was just like came over to our room and looked at us and we knew like what it meant. But it's a very bittersweet, you know, feeling for sure.
Yeah,
So,
for sure.
But
Shout out to the angels.
I was
God
gonna say,
bless.
shout out to y'all. Continue to watch over us and wrap your
Please,
love and
'cause
arms around us. Give us the
cover
strength.
us.
Continue to give us the strength
For
to
real. For real.
keep y'all's legacy alive and just you know share stories about you all. So for our how's life, sis, transitioning. I know last episode we said genuinely like how are you, but this was a heavy episode, so we're doing it again. So genuinely, how are you guys? How are y'all doing? I know this is such a terrible question to ask after the episode we just had, but
Everybody got quiet.
everybody
Just looking
it's
like,
like
I don't know.
our eyes is puffy and we just
head hurt. I think that I'm good. I think I'm good. Like I said, I have the grief process that I went through with my childhood best friend was very long. You know, when it happened back in 2021. But now I definitely have, you know, come a long way from that. I think that I am navigating life in a totally different way. And I think that definitely has impacted how I, you know, deal with that loss in particular. Was that a fly?
Yeah.
So, yeah, and it's interesting you said the dream thing. I remember just to end off with this. I remember it must have been a couple days after he passed, maybe a couple weeks. Either after he passed or after like the funeral and everything like that. I remember I was dreaming. I was laying in bed. Well, obviously laying in bed, sleeping, dreaming, and he was there. And it's so crazy when I think about it. So I think we were just walking, talking. I think I might have asked him like, "How are you?" I don't remember if he said anything back. But what I do remember is that he gave me a very big hug, like a long hug. I think I was crying in my sleep by this point. I was crying when I woke up, but I was crying in my sleep by this point, I think. And this boy went up an escalator and just went up. And since
I
then,
would have broken it
I have
down.
not seen him in a dream, but to see his face and to see him kind of smiling, that did a lot.
Yeah.
That did a lot. So, shout out to you, Chris. I love you very much. You already know. So, yeah. I'm good, though. I'm good. I'm doing all
I'm
right.
alright. I'm alright. I mean, I feel like I've been on autopilot when it comes to death. Because it's been back to back for me for like years. Every year somebody dies. So, like, I don't even know. But it's crazy that you mentioned the dreams because I did have a dream about Nana before Poppy died. And it was like all the family, we were just sitting in the living room. And I knew she wasn't supposed to be there, technically, because she's dead. But she was sitting on the stairs as if she was just listening. Like she was just coming down to check. And it's crazy because she was on the stairs. And it's like she's just coming down to check on everybody. And I said, Nana's here. And they were like, what? And like I remember my sister in the dream, I could see her. My sister couldn't see her, but she could feel her there. And she was like, yeah, she's here. And they were looking at us like we were crazy. And Nana kind of looked like, you can see me? And I was like, yeah, I can see you. And she wasn't talking to me. She was just looking at me, but I knew what she was saying. And it was insane. It was insane. But I remember her saying, like, or she was like, you can see me? And I was like, yeah. And then my sister said it again, like, yeah, she's here. She's on the stairs. And everybody was like, okay. And they just went back to talking. And Nana was just like, okay. And she just kept listening to everybody. And it just seemed like everybody was kind of updating their lives for her.
That's cool.
Yeah. And it's crazy that you said that, Sage, because like ever since then I don't dream about her anymore.
It's like their way of letting you guys know like
I'm
we're
okay.
we're okay,
Yeah.
you know.
That they've like officially moved on.
Yeah. I haven't dreamt of my loved ones. I don't remember if I dreamt of Miss Harleisha, but I haven't dreamt of my grandfather yet. Maybe because it's still fresh and early on. But as far as how am I am hanging in there, you know. Really just trying to make sure, like, my grandma and my dad and stuff is straight, you know. That's really been my concern. Try not to beat myself up about what didn't occur.
Yeah.
By the time you guys watch and listen to this, I would have already gone to the funeral. But I actually am looking forward to going, like, to see everybody, and to see all the people that, you know, he's had an impact on. Yeah, and, you know, and it's like, Caribbean, let me say, like, if y'all haven't been to, not wishing for y'all to go to a Caribbean funeral, but Caribbean funerals, like, I don't know what it I don't know what it is about why everything we do is so damn grand and big and just
Drama.
like large
Yeah.
and just, but we make everything like a function and stuff. And I think my dad was telling me something like, oh yeah, like the hall that we're having the repast at holds like 250 people, and the lady was saying like we're going to need another tent for the overflow. I'm like, God damn, the overflow. Like, people are flying out from Jamaica and everywhere, and, you know, all types of stuff. And it's just going to be one big, like, celebration. Big celebration of life. And he was even my dad was even telling me how, like, he's been to funerals before, or, like, you'll go to the wake, and the people, the Caribbean people be like, you don't have no chicken, they don't have no chicken and no rum. What type of freaking, like, why is that your concern right now? So damn idiot people, them. Okay, but no, I think it's gonna be a good time. I always love going back to New York, going back to home. Glad I get to spend time with family, cousins that I haven't seen in a long time, and just looking forward to fellowshipping, you know, and appreciating everybody for the time spent. So right now I'm holding up okay. If this was filmed after the funeral, my answer might be a little different, but so far I'm holding up okay, and I'm grateful for the support that I do have during this time.
Yeah, heard that. Yeah, I mean, I'm doing okay. Don't got much else to say. You know, R.I.P. to the people that we lost. We love you forever and ever. But like I said, I'm doing okay. So that's all I really got to say. Y'all answers are a little more longer and elaborate, but I don't really got much else to say.
Yeah. Well, guys, we appreciate you all for listening, crying with us, reminiscing with us, appreciating your loved ones with us, and just being a part of the process. It is a process. So thank you again for tuning in to another episode of Life is Weird.
Love you guys.
Love
we did
y'all.
it.
We
Come
did
in. Hug me.
Oh, hugging. But yeah, it's a wrap. So thank you guys, and take it away, Sage.
Firstly, go to therapy. Secondly, keep your legs closed to married men and women.
And it's a wrap. See y'all.
It was an Alaskan.